shut up.
All right, go.
Good afternoon, this is Solent Sports News. My name is Mark Francis. The Premier League is back this weekend, and in a moment we'll be speaking to Jacob Potter to preview Southampton's game on Sunday. But there's only one place to start.
Picking out Mkhitaryan in towards Aubameyang. He chips the goalkeeper. It's a lovely finish.
One of the most hotly anticipated North London derbies in recent history kicks off the Premier League weekend tomorrow as Arsenal take on Tottenham Hotspur at Wembley. Arsenal's record signing Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang is already drawing comparisons with Spurs star striker Harry Kane ahead of this one. The Gunners have been buoyed by the arrival of Henrik Mkhitaryan and Mesut Ozil signing a new deal, but face a Spurs side in great form both at home and on the road. Arsenal boss Arsene Wenger has said that this is just another game and that Champions League qualification has to be the priority.
I know the importance of this game for over 20 years, but for us it's an opportunity to come back in the table closer to the Champions League spot, and that is the priority.
We're joined on the line by Charles Watts, Arsenal journalist for Football London. Charles, thanks very much indeed for joining us. So as you know, Tottenham versus Arsenal this weekend, always a mouth-watering fixture. Arsenal collected the points earlier on in the season, but they are now a much-changed team, as you probably know. How do you see this one going?
It's tough to call. Always tough to call North London derby. It's that cliche of form goes out the window, and it kind of does. Arsenal sort of going into the game at the Emirates a few months ago, I really didn't fancy Arsenal's chances much. They weren't playing well. Tottenham were doing all right. They'd obviously finished above them last season, and yet Arsenal turned up on a day and absolutely smashed them. Really, it was 2-0, but it could have been more, and they were far and away the best team on the day, which just sort of sums up the North London derby. Really, you can never really call it. I think from Arsenal's point of view, it's much better that it's at Wembley. I think if it's at White Hart Lane, it would have been very, very tough, as they've shown in the last few years, where it's been a while since they've picked up anything at the Lane in the league. But at Wembley, Arsenal have won 9 in a row. 3 FA Cup finals, 3 FA Cup semi-finals, and 3 Community Shields, and they feel really at home there. So it's not really going to be like an away game for them. So yeah, I think that will play to their advantage. Big pitch, they've got a lot of pace in the side now of Aubameyang and Mkhitaryan. I think they'll take advantage of that as well. So I'm feeling like Arsenal could certainly get something out of it. I'm not sure they'll win, but I think they'll get a draw. And I think at this stage of the season, given the gap there is between them and Tottenham, they can't afford to lose. And I think if you offer them a draw right now, they'd take it. And I think that's how it's going to pan out. And I know that sounds like I'm sitting on the fence a bit, but I fancy a 1-1 draw, maybe 2-2.
Excellent, Charles. Thanks very much indeed for your time. On to Sunday, and Jacob Potter has joined us in the studio to look ahead to Southampton's next game. Jacob, who are the Saints facing on Sunday?
So Liverpool travel to Southampton this weekend as the Reds look for all 3 points and possibly a couple of the Saints players to add to their growing collection of players bought from the club. One of the most recent players to swap St Mary's for Anfield is Liverpool's £75 million record signing Virgil van Dijk. The Dutch defender is expected to be fit to face his former club, and Southampton midfielder James Ward-Prowse remains fully focused on getting points with Saints and not on friendships with former teammates.
People move on, and that's fair enough for him. It was a decision made by the club, and that's his career path. But for us, we have to make sure that we do everything we can to win the game, because we are in a tough situation, and we need the points to climb up the table.
On to team news now, and Ragnar Klavan and former Southampton midfielder Adam Lallana are expected to return for Jurgen Klopp's side, but Joe Gomez is ruled out with a knee injury that has kept him out for the last couple of weeks. Whilst Jack Stevens has certainly stepped up for Southampton since Van Dijk's departure, netting 3 goals in as many games, and he'll be looking to carry on that form. Charlie Austin remains the only absentee for the home side with a torn hamstring. Jurgen Klopp will be hopeful of an improvement against Southampton, having only won 2 of his last 9 games against the Saints. Back to you in the studio.
Thanks very much indeed, Jacob. Maurizio Pellegrini has been holding his news conference ahead of the clash with Liverpool, and he believes despite the tough challenge ahead, his Southampton side can cause Liverpool problems.
When you play against this side, you have to do everything almost perfect to try to beat this type of team, Champions League team. But for us, I feel also that we are in a good situation to try to play against them.
a Premier League striker, is at the centre of a racial attack scandal. West Brom and former Saints striker Jay Rodriguez has been charged by the FA after allegedly racially abusing Brighton defender Guyton Bong. Rodriguez has released a statement maintaining his innocence and is said to be in disbelief after being charged. West Brom have come out in support of the forward, who has been in impressive form of late. Northern Ireland have extended the contract of their manager, Michael O'Neill. The 48-year-old signed a new contract until 2024, having recently turned down the vacant Scotland job. He led Northern Ireland to the last 16 stage of Euro 2016 and came agonisingly close to taking his side to this year's World Cup in Russia. O'Neill said he has unfinished business with his country, and we are joined by Steve McKenna to tell us more of an insight into the importance of Michael O'Neill and Northern Ireland. So Steve, how vital for Northern Ireland is it that Michael O'Neill has remained in charge?
I think the most important piece of the Northern Ireland squad has been the manager himself since he took over in 2011. His side have been really ruthless away and at home. The home form especially, they remained unbeaten from September 2013 until losing to Germany last October. And he also won the group in Euro 2016 qualifying, reached the last 16 of that tournament and only lost in the playoffs against Switzerland to not qualify for the World Cup.
So what is it that makes Northern Ireland come good under his guidance?
They're very well coached from him. They set up against certain teams. They know what they're doing. They look really well drilled. They don't seem to drop points, especially against weaker teams than themselves. And their home form and away form have been really consistent under O'Neill.
England face Wales at a mouth-watering tie at Twickenham tomorrow, with many dubbing the winner of this match as the overall winner of the Six Nations. Following a 34-7 demolition of Scotland at the Millennium Stadium last weekend, Wales will have a new sense of confidence despite being lumbered with as many as 13 injuries. England, who put on a great display in Rome to beat Italy 46-15, have never lost at home under head coach Eddie Jones and are looking to replicate last year's Grand Slam. We sat down with Welsh legend Shane Williams, who was selected 3 times for the British and Irish Lions, to find out his thoughts before the biggest matchup of the weekend.
If I had to pick one player from each side, that's going to be dangerous on the weekend, it'd be Watson for England. Been playing particularly well in the Viva Premiership. Scored 2 tries on the weekend, looking very dangerous. And Stephen Evans for Wales, his work rate is phenomenal. He scored as well on the weekend. Goes looking for to get his hands on that ball as often as he can, and we'll be wanting that as Welsh people on the weekend. Both teams are very blessed that there's a lot of good young players coming through that'll probably be putting their hands up for the next World Cup. Whoever wins on the weekend will probably go on and win the Six Nations. England at home, at Twickenham, at their home is always very tough. But if Wales can go there and win, your confidence goes through the roof. And obviously Wales will have 2 home games and have to go to Dublin. If England win this, I see it very difficult for anyone else to catch them. Ireland will be the only team really that can catch them, but they're playing in Twickenham as well.
Scotland's former captain will make his first start for nearly a year against France on Sunday. Greg Laidlaw replaces Ali Price at scrum half in one of 6 changes from the annihilating 34-7 loss to Wales last week. France, meanwhile, have made 3 changes to their side, which lost agonisingly to Ireland in Paris, with a shock call-up for 32-year-old fly-half Lionel Buis, who will make his first international appearance for 6 years. Scotland's former captain will make his first start for nearly a year against France on Sunday. It was a night of shocks as round 2 of the Premier League darts action got underway in Cardiff last night. World number 1 Michael van Gerwen suffered a surprise 7-5 defeat to Peter Wright, whilst PDC World Champion Robert Cross suffered his 2nd successive defeat as he was thrashed 7-1 by Simon Whitlock. Elsewhere, Raymond van Barneveld moved into contention with a hard-fought 7-5 win over Mentil Silovic. And finally,
simply playing for places, it is Altior, last year's Supreme winner, is going to give Nicky Henderson a 6th win in the Arkle, and it is Altior who wins.
Last year's star novice chaser returns to the track tomorrow. Altior is back and will face just 2 rivals in his seasonal debut at Newbury. His trainer Nicky Henderson admits he's at his most vulnerable of a first defeat over jumps, following a procedure to improve his breathing. If all goes well, it's all systems go for the champion chase at the Cheltenham Festival next month. Meanwhile, last year's Cheltenham Gold Cup third, Native River, also returns to the track for the first time since last March, and he faces 3 rivals in the Betfair Denman Chase. That's all from us now. Make sure you tune in at 4 o'clock.